some graphical misrepresentations of data, so how graphs can be misleading, how to identify misleading graphs, and how to make sure your graphs are not misleading and that you provide good and accurate graphs. So first, statistics displays can distort the truth depending on how you choose to represent it and how you choose to label your axes. So there's two different types of distorting. The first is unintentional, which is just where you accidentally mislead. So this would just be an accident, like you just made a mistake when you were plotting your data or when you were labeling. It was an honest mistake, you didn't mean to do it. And then there's intentional distorting, which is where you're trying to deceive or lie. So you're doing that on purpose. So if you're trying to purposefully make your charts and graphs appear a certain way, even though that's not what the data is suggesting. Okay, so really there are just a lot of ways that charts and graphs can be done incorrectly or how they can be distorted. So we're not going to go through all of them. It's really common sense for a lot of them. So we're going to go through the most common ones. First, in this example, we have a pie chart here. And just looking at the pie chart, it looks like blue is the largest, or the light blue is the largest. Then these two are kind of the same. And then we have our smallest one here. But if we look at the key, it says that all of these are 25%, which doesn't match what the pie chart is doing. So that's why it's important for your pie chart to make sense with the percents that are matched up. So all slices should be the same. But they're not. Okay, also with pie charts, in this case it's good. All the percents do add up to 100%. So you just always want to double check that the percents you're given in a pie chart actually do add up to 100%. Sometimes bad graphs will have percentages that go over 100% or don't equal 100% or less than. So you got to make sure that the type of graph you're looking at is consistent with what we know about it. Example 2. So this bar graph, first of all, there are no labels. Yeah. Oh, it should on mine, but I guess it's so light green it didn't. See, like there's someone, it didn't copy. There's no label, so we have no idea what the X and Y axis are representing. There's no X and Y axis. So we don't know if like the tops of these shirts are where our graphs are starting or if the bottom of these shirts are where the graphs are starting. We just don't know. And so we have no idea the scale of which they're using for these different bars. This difference could be like 5 or it could be 500. We don't know because they didn't label. That's why labels are important. The vertical scale is truncated if the vertical scale does not start at 0. So usually, unless otherwise directed, you will always want to start your y-axis, your vertical scale, at 0. So 0 is in that lower left-hand corner. Because not starting at 0, if a vertical scale starts higher or at a higher number, the differences between the bars is exaggerated or magnified. Because you're able to spread out your data more. Oh geez, I don't know how to spell exaggerated. I'm just going to stick with magnified. Okay, so if you start at a higher number, then it gives you more room to spread out your increments, which will make the differences between your bars look larger than it may actually be. For some data, magnifying the differences is important. There are sometimes on like the homework or on test or quizzes where I ask you to start your y-axis at a specific point for the purposes of clarity, so you can see where you're plotting and so I can see where you're plotting. And sometimes we care about those tiny differences, so magnifying it will be important. But if you are going to start your y-axis at a different value, you may have seen this before. You do the little like squiggly line thing before you start. So if we want to start at like 10, you would just start there. Or if we want to start it at 100, You do the little squiggly line so that you are letting everybody know, hey, this isn't starting at 0, just so you know. Okay, so on the next page. So these two graphs show the same data. They have the same heights of the bars. The bars go to the same frequency. However, the difference between the two bars seems larger with this one than with this one. And if we look at our y-axis, this one, we start at 0 and we go up by 100, so we have nice even increments starting at 0. But if we look at our second graph, we didn't start at 0, we started at 830. And here the differences between the heights of the bars is magnified. It looks like they are way more different in the second graph than the first. So this is because the y-axis is truncated. So again, sometimes there will be moments where we do care about the tiny little changes and we want to see those differences magnified. So if there is the case where we do have an interest in small changes, like showing day-to-day stock prices, because those changes are so minuscule, then the graph on the right would make more sense. But if we're just interested in the totals, or we don't care about those tiny differences, like showing yearly salaries, then the left graph would make more sense to use. So it just depends on the situation. Okay, so some charts and graphs, especially those in the media, are made more visually attractive by using symbols and graphics instead of like the bars and the lines to make it more appealing. So if one category has twice the frequency of another, then that graphic would be like doubled in size. So twice the frequency would double in size. However, if the graphic that they chose to use is a three-dimensional figure, then doubling each dimension would actually increase the volume by 8 times, which would be misleading. So the gazebo on the right is twice as large in each dimension than the one on the left. However, it is much more than twice as large as the one on the left. So using pictures instead of our bars with our nicely labeled X and Y axes, those can get misleading if the graphics are not scaled correctly. So you just have to be careful with that. Yeah, and I think that's it. So again, these are the main issues that you can see in graphs. Sometimes people just plot data incorrectly, like they have a bar that goes up to 200 below a bar that goes up to 100. So they're just not in the right spot. Sometimes axes are not going up by the same increment every time. So you just got to be careful. Use what you know about how to make these graphs correctly to look at other graphs to see what could be an issue with them.